So I can see myself recording. Can you see yourself recording? Can you see the record button? Okay.
Yeah, I can.
You can see the record button.
I can see.
You suddenly seem really nervous, like, oh, I know.
I was like, this will go.
No. Okay. So here we are. Okay. So here we are. So I shouldn't say I don't have a plan, because that sounds really unprofessional, and I'm trying to sound like I'm professional, but really and truly, I don't have a plan. So let's just jump in. As I get my hands tangled. Okay, so welcome.
You need that kind of intro music now.
But then you do the whole intro music, and then somebody goes, "Oh, that was my copyright," and you're like, "Child, I was just trying to introduce my guest." Anyway, so yeah, we'll pretend there's music in our minds. There is music.
Mm-hmm. There is always.
Okay, so that actually reminds me of something that I do want to find out at the end of this, about what would be the soundtrack to your life. Like, exactly. So now you literally have like a short period of time to think about it between now and the end of the conversation.
Do you know, I'm so terrible with like artists, and it would have to be one I make up myself, but I'll try and think.
So, okay, but that's not really the conversation. So here we are back with a new series of conversations with Michi, and today I have in the blue corner my wonderful friend. Your turn to introduce yourself. Let the people know who you are.
Who am I? All right, so let's start off with my name. So my name is ANNTHA, and gosh, when everyone asks who are you, I'm me.
You're you. Okay, so let me start with this. So beautiful name. So can you maybe give a little history lesson into that name?
Oh, okay. All right. So the history, it's a combination of names. So on my dad's side, all of the girls, well, not all of them, it's only me and my sister, but the boys start with a D, and then, it was going to be a trend that all of the girls were going to be started with an L. So that is the initial starting point for the L. And my aunt was reading a book, and I think there was a Swedish queen in there that had a similar name. So that's how ANNTHA came about. So it's a combination of that, to be honest, yeah.
Brilliant. I love that. So as you know, I kind of just go with the flow in these conversations. So I let whatever my guest says to kind of just guide my intuition. So I kind of feel like the whole name thing is now just going to set me
set the trend.
Exactly. So that's what we're going to do for this one. And this new series, so the first series of Conversations with Michi, I had loosely tagged well-being and lifestyle. Kind of looked at how people had sort of felt in different stages of their life, including the current situation in which we all found ourselves across the globe, the past sort of year or two. So and then so for this one, at first I was just going to continue that trend, but then the other day I thought, lessons learned. What have been the lessons learned? And having a project management background, I thought, at the end of every project, that's what we do. We figure out what the lessons learned. Really, you should be assessing that as you go along. Project managers assess lessons learned as they go. They don't wait till the end. So I then thought, very apt, that I'm going to do the same with this series, you know, what are the lessons learned, you know, present continuous,
Okay.
and where those lessons may have even started from. So as you get to be the first guest of this new series, your name has now triggered a thought. So how has your name shaped or not who you are, who you have become, and how do you think that journey started? And the reason why I say it is because I think names hold power. The intention with which names are set hold power. Now, I know some people name their children and they don't think about it, but I'm not talking about those people. So you talked about, you know, your parents, the intention they had and all of that. So how has either that DNA combination, that intention, you know, shown up in your life in ways that you could recognize or not recognize? Or even what some people do, they have a name they think, it doesn't really suit me. And they intentionally start to change the direction, the trajectory of their life into a name that they feel holds
more for them where they're at. Yeah.
So start me there. Like what was that name like? Because in school, you know, like was that a name that people were like, "Ooh, ANNTHA, nice name," or "Ooh, girl, what's that about?" Like start from there and go wherever you want to go with it. And you know, when we need to change gear, I'll just say, let's change gear.
Okay, my starting point with my name. I've always felt different. My name is different. So I'm thankful that my parents named me this because it's very fitting. So it's always been a name that people stumble on because one, they don't know how to pronounce it, and it's not common. So that even primary school registers, it always used to be like, low. I always get that, and I just know it's me. And then, you know, could you kind of work out where you sit on the register? You can kind of feel, and you feel like the pause. Rebecca, Sarah, did it? And I was like, yeah, it's me. So sometimes I would say, oh, ANNTHA, and it's like a relief for them because obviously they don't have to now work out how it's pronounced. But I love my name. I love my name. It's unusual. And you know, I've got like a apostrophe, and it really works for me. So thank you, parents. I really love and appreciate my name. And it's really good because it's actually caught attention. I remember doing my CV once, and it was, you can't put your name. You cannot put, you know, at first it was like, you can't put your name bold. And I was like, I want everyone to see my name. That is so what I did, I remember, because I've always been creative. You know how CVs used to look so dull and just linear and boring. So what I did is I changed up and I put my name, and I put ANNTHA and Ebanks Chambers, and then I put it in a different colour font. And you know what? I actually got called for the job. And what they said to me is that my name caught their attention. So I was like, So it made me just appreciate and grow to really love and be more confident with my name, because, you know, some people are, you know, how do you pronounce it? And it was kind of like, okay, there's been many stages in my life where, you know, feeling a little bit uncomfortable with who I be. And because it wasn't so common, it wasn't so, you know, out there, it used to be a thing of, okay, when people pronounce it, what's that? Where are you from? Or do you know what I mean? And it used to have that kind of little attachment to it. But I love it now, and it just works for me. And I use the first part, like with my hair, I might low unique or low, do you know what I mean? And I added my brand, Low Letty. So I've run with it.
You're rinsing that, man.
I'm seriously, like my middle name as well is a bit unusual. So I just mixed the whole two. So Salita is my middle name, and it's just like, so I love it all.
I love that. I really love that. And part of why I love it is because I talk a lot about style ID, you know, we say style ID, but it's really style id, the vibe, you know, the energy. And I love that from a young age, you got to recognize, hold up, I have something unique here. You know what I mean? And I'm not, because what children do very young, we're at that, at that stage is you kind of like, you want to be part of the follow pack. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we don't really understand that, you know, that to lead or to be unique is kind of cool. A lot of people don't really get that. Like, you just want to be like everybody else, which is also cool because as humans, we want to be part of that.
Yeah, don't want to stand out, don't it? Yeah.
Exactly. But I love that you identified something in the uniqueness of your name that you really made work for you, you know, when you were younger, and then you've used it into your adult life. So I'm curious then, have there been moments, any moments in your life where having a strong identity or a clear identity, have there been moments where you've had a lapse in identity?
Definitely.
Okay, talk to me a little bit about.
Yeah, because when you said strong identity, I just still feel like I'm on the journey. So it's I don't feel like it's really strong, but I'm comfortable with it.
Because with somebody with a strong name for which you own that name, right? You know, because there are a lot of assumptions that other humans make. For example, if somebody's outspoken, people just assume they're confident. If somebody is a certain Jimmy quiet, they assume that is it. If somebody they assume, do you know what I mean? You know, if you even have a name like Jaquita, like Jaquita, people think you're hood, you know what I mean? And then they're like, oh, you're schooled? It's like, yeah, you know, so there were all these assumptions we make based on these things that we get put on, or we put on, you know, adorn ourselves with. So talk to me a little bit about this idea that you are growing into your strength. Talk about the things that maybe may have happened that have been these lapses, or have been a lapse that you're now, you know, kind of consciously and intentionally working to either build back or build up or whatever. And it could be anything.
When you say like attached to the name or that whole...
Yeah, anything in your life. Like, was it that you had a strength in your name? Was that, did that translate into every other aspect of your life? Were you equally as strong in your identity in all other areas?
No, I don't think that I even saw the connection with the name.
Interesting.
Do you see? Only now that, you know, you're saying and where I am now, but I just always just knew it wasn't the same as everyone's, or it wasn't common. But I never really took it upon myself to feel like, oh, this is now elevated me because I've got, and it's so, it's only that now you're saying it, I never actually used it like that, or even felt that. I just knew it was just unusual. So when, you know, when people would say my name, or, you know, I got more confident to actually correct them, because at first it was like, okay, they've said it wrong, and in my mind it was like, that's not my name, that's wrong. I remember that that's not my name. But, you know, as I've, you know, got more older, and it's like, okay, well, it's pronounced this way, you know. But I never really used it in that way. I've just always felt unique, a little bit, you know, different, but I never really felt like, oh, okay, bossy with it. That's the word. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So see, I do this because I usually have multiple questions in my brain. It's not because I struggle for a question. I always think, oh my goodness, because what I love about talking to people, especially people I'm interested in, like you and others, is I learn so much from it. So as I'm learning, right, questions are bubbling, and then I've got to think, you got to pick like one question, you know what I mean? You've only got a limited amount of time, and you don't want to, you know, like overwhelm the person. So that's why, because in my brain, I'm like, okay, so talk to me about disassociation with the identity. Talk to me about, you know, forming identity as, you know, as you're now, you know, becoming older. Talk to me about, I know you're a mother. Talk to me about how you impart a strength of identity into, do you know what I mean, growing adults when you yourself are developing one. Like, there's so many things in my brain right now to ask you.
Yeah.
So just pick anything and go and run with
the identity and ensuring that your children have it. Do you know one thing I know is that, you see, for me as a parent, and what I've seen with other parents, that even though you might not have it, you know, you're blowing steam and air into your children. So you might have like a little bit of it, but then you want your children to be a step higher than you, don't you? So for me, it's like, okay, whereas what I might have been lacking in, I've just been talking to my children about having that confidence, you know, about this. And I remember hearing my mum talk about things, and do you know what I mean? And planting the seeds onto. So I feel that even sometimes we don't really feel it within ourselves as parents. We want our children to feel that fullness from an earlier age. So for me, it's been that, and I can see that in my children. I can see that in my daughter as well. She's 21, but she's actually, you know, she's like the more confident version of me. So when I yes. I see my son and I'm like, yes. Because they're a bit more, you know, stronger with their, you know, their opinions and assertive with their self. And it's like, oh, I just found that the other day. It's quite, you know, interesting.
That's really interesting. So do you think it is that, because we hear this when people talk about, oh, I want my children to get a better education than I wanted them to have more than I had. I haven't, with this whole thing of self-confidence and building a strong sense of self and identity in a child as a parent, is it that we are trying to impart into them something that we want them to have more of than we had, or are we subconsciously passing down a message, you know, either of nature or nurture, nature being DNA, nurture being that because your mother, do you know what I mean, you know, was active about instilling it in you, you're therefore trying to instill it in your children, and you see now the fruits, like you said, in your daughter, who you said is 21, who people would not be like, okay, they're just up here lying because the person you're talking to don't even look like she passed 21, so I don't know where she got a pick-me from, but that's 21, but you know, we can pick up on that. But this whole thing but this idea that you see it now in your children, you know, this sense of self that you have been conscious about instilling in them, is that, where did that consciousness come from? Because you talked about not even being fully conscious of it in yourself, and you are still growing. So where did you find, or where do you find the gems to instill something in them that you are still growing in?
I feel through journeys and situations, I feel that situations that I've been in is because of a lack in confidence.
Wow.
So for me, that is important to instill that into them, because sometimes when you don't have confidence within yourself, you can be easily led, or you can, you know, bear things that are not for you. So that's what,
girl, don't send me into these hallelujah places.
Yeah. So for me, it's very key. You know, you can have all of the education and stuff like that. You could be, you know, a brainy box, but you still have to be confident within yourself. And one thing is that 2 words has come to mind: confident and content. Because the thing is, I've been content with myself. It's not like, you know, I've been lacking, you know, in that. I've been content with myself. And content can just make you accept things that are thrown at you.
Okay, so is that so what I hear, correct me if I'm wrong, is that you are not referring to the contentment that comes from being full in yourself, and therefore you're able to diffuse from you things that are not for you. What it sounds like you're talking about is where you become so lax in your space of comfort that you allow yourself to absorb things that ain't got nothing to do with you and should not even be at your doorstep.
Yeah.
Okay. So
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. So for me, it's that in between stage of, because it's like you know, you can be content with yourself, but then being confident and with who you are, it brings out a different side to you. You would even take opportunities. You would be more confident with what you do. You know, take your imagination to a next step, you know, because you're more confident with yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so give me two sort of completely opposite or opposing examples of that. So for example, give me an example of something in your life, because we're talking about lessons learned, something in your life that when you look back now, I'm not going to do that whole what would you say to your 12-year-old self, because listen, the other day I thought about that and I was like well, the kind of conversations I have in my mind, I was like, child, your 12-year-old self just needed some peace. You don't need to be telling her nothing about nothing, and she didn't need to hear nothing about nothing. She just needed to be 12. So, so I'm not going to even go down that, you know, sort of psychoanalytical route. What I would like to know, however, is being that we're talking about, you know, lessons learned, things that we have learned and are learning, how we're applying those lessons to our life. Can you maybe share something that you think when you look back, you realize, okay, that was from a complete lack of inner confidence, how that showed up in your life, and then what maybe if you had known better, you would have done better. And then an example of something that maybe now or even then you kind of now you're walking in your
or in my skin type of
skin, right? That doesn't mean you don't make mistakes, but you're like, no, don't come.
You own it. You just own it.
Exactly. Yes. So an example of that and how you are now, you know, growing more in that outfit. So two opposites, they might not even be opposite. Sometimes one leads to the other, but it's such a multi-faceted type of, because it's like this. I'm so dimensional, and I've learned to appreciate that about myself. So even like I've always been a go-getter, but in a way that I make safe moves. So this is something I've learned about myself. My eyes either start bulging out my head or I start making shrieking sounds, right? Like a hyena. So I am trying on this new series to reduce both. I haven't quite succeeded, and we're only like however many minutes into this conversation. But I love that you just went deep with that. So I shouldn't have even stopped you, but you know, I shouldn't because I took something from that right there. So carry on.
When I think back, I think that the content self, even though I had the drive and, you know, you would see that I will go for things, I most probably would just take a little step out of my comfort zone. And, you know, I've always been a creative person, but I've never really, more so now I can say I am, really allowed myself to be so free with creating. So I would say that would be an example of like creativity, you know, getting out there. And I feel that having my daughter quite young and then having my son, it was like, do you know what? I have to step out of this now, because I cannot stay in this bubble, because it's not reality. I've got like two people now that are relying on me. When I had like Shanties, I'm still doing like little bits and pieces. But when I had Omari, I was like, oh my, what my two children? I was like, okay. And I remember just panicking a bit, but I know I got this, because I always got this. I've got this. And I was like, okay, what are the two things that I like doing? You like teaching. And I've always played schools. I registered and everything, you know, teddy bears were the students, and from a childhood, okay, and you like creativity, all right, cool. And you want something that you can take anywhere in the world, all right, boom, I know what I'm doing. And I went into teaching. And that was me being more within myself and overcoming that So I'd done my access and I was like, cool, me and my two little rucksacks. And we done this and I graduated. And I think that was like a stage for myself that I grew the most.
I love that. I love. So I you know, we met through education. You know, won't bother going into that story. But I love what you've just said. Oh, I love the fact that I learned so much, something new from even people that I know. I love that all the time. Woo! Let me just have a moment of my, you know, right now. But let me tell you what I love about that. I love, because we need to recognize in ourselves areas that require growth. We have to be able to identify them. And then once we have identified them, we have to take the steps needed in order to make sure that they begin to come to pass. Because what sometimes happens is we identify something, we become overwhelmed, and then we do nothing, right? Or like you beautifully put it, we take a step, but even that step ain't bold. We tell ourselves it's bold, but it really isn't, right? Just move from the door to the doorstep, that's all, right? And if somebody came who knew us from 10 years ago, they think we hadn't even moved. You know, and in our mind, we've moved, right? Because we haven't really taken the uncomfortable steps. So I love that, you know, like you said, with your two rucksacks, you know what I mean? You just carried yourself and them, and you were like, we got this. Do you know what I mean? Fear and all, whatever that is, do you know what I mean? We got this. And you now have something that you can not just say to yourself, this is what I've achieved, but it is an example to your children because they can see, you know what I mean, the fruit. And we all need to be able to see those things in order to see what getting up, going and getting looks like. No matter how small. And then also I love the fact that because education is so in dire need of inspiring role models. Girl, we won't even go there because that's another program.
Yes, but we should do that actually.
So I love that, you know, that I know that was part of your style ID, I'd say. That was part of your style, that was part of your vibe. Do you know what I mean? Like you know, folk were loving your energy because they knew, do you know what I mean? Kids always know when people are rooting for them. Do you know what I mean? Either because they've been or they want to bring them to, you know, to drink at the, you know, at the water fountain of life. So I love that. And I just wanted to just, you know, kind of, you know, reiterate why I loved it, why I love what you said. So now that we are, you know, where we are now, and I say we, now that you are where you are now, where you recognize what you love, creativity, education, being able to inspire, to, you know, to teach and all those kind of things, how are you now moving that forward? How are you taking these lessons that you've learned about yourself, whether it be, okay, you know what, yes, I take steps, but, you know, I kind of need to take big steps. How are those things now showing up in your life to be able to now move you forward to, yes.
I can visualize building blocks. It's like just steps going up, and I feel that each time I achieve or I've stepped up, it's like I can see a different part of the world. So, you know, and in many like different stages in my life as a parent. So, you know, going into it, and when you have children, you sometimes feel that, well, for me, I just thought I'm a parent, but I'm a parent to that child for the first time. Do you see? So it's like learning now the difference within the children, my experiences that I've gone through, like with my son, has even made me look at education, because I know what I'm in education for. Sometimes we can get absent-minded and assume that people are going into teaching for the same reasons, even though I know the facts that people go into it for different reasons. I kind of let my guard down a little bit because I felt that I knew education because I was in education. And that wasn't the experience that my son had with what I would have been delivering and giving to my children, because I'm the teacher, but they're my children in my class. But yeah.
So just so that there's context, are you talking about this idea that the intention with which we may teach as educators, we sometimes assume that that's also the intention with which other people are also educated, and then we have children in that system, because it's not every teacher that is teaching a class for which their own children are sitting in.
Yes, thank you. Okay, yes, in the system.
In the system,
yes. In the system. So yeah, just going through that whole journey of teaching, you know, so I'm going to another point now. Just when I went into teaching, what I actually felt teaching was, and the level of seeds that, you know, you plant within the children that you teach, it's more bigger than just the subject you're teaching them.
Oh.
So for me, it was about providing that example, or giving them examples of life skills that they can also take, as well as the subjects that I'm teaching. So when I went into it and I realized that I was getting the results, but I was also getting the pressure, because I was gathering the children. You know, sometimes I didn't even get a break.
Like, let me just so that we can keep the conversation. Let's just describe it like this. Okay, if you are in education and you actually want to inspire the children to not just learn what the curriculum says, but you actually want to educate them so that they are contributing citizens, you know, of society, and they are also learning and growing in themselves outside of the structures of the curriculum. What tends to happen is, if you haven't died of frustration within the system, is you become like the Pied Piper, is what my dear friend here is trying to say. You become like the Pied Piper. You turn around and all of a sudden you got rats following you. And sorry, parents, I'm not saying your children are rats.
Okay, that's a disclaimer. Thank you.
You suddenly find yourself like a magnet.
Yes.
Children of different ages, and as we say children because we're talking about, you know, while they're in school age, under 18, to children who are looking to you for more than just the curriculum, for direction, for assurance, for so many things that you want to give them. But there are only so many hours in the day. And like my dear friend is saying here, she also had her own picnic them at home to make sure that they were okay, because they were also in the system elsewhere. And that poses its own challenges. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Because if we went too much deeper, then that, you know, ebonics, then, you know, we would open another kettle.
We'll save that for another time. But yeah, definitely.
So something like that.
Yeah. The whole teaching, and, you know, what I thought I was going to get, and then the pressures, and then, you know, so for me, and then with what I was going through in my own world and with my child, it was like, do you know what? I actually have to take a step away from this right now and focus on my home.
So what does that look like moving forward now? Because you've taken charge of it.
Yes.
You know, as you know, as best, you know, when I use phrases like that, and, you know, nobody's in 1000% control, because, you know, so many factors that affect.
They can charge responsibility. Yes.
Or whatever. So you've taken charge of things now. What does your future light look like?
Well, and now that I've gone through all of that, I've got over, oh my gosh, I'm not head of department, oh my gosh, I'm not head teacher. You know, because it's like when you go and teach, you think, okay, yeah, I'm gonna, and step up. Yeah, that wasn't for me. But education, working with youth, still the same thing. You know, I've worked in youth clubs and stuff like that. But the two, like, what's coming to mind now is I've turned my pain as such into my passion.
Love.
So now it's, you know, that was like the birth of Your Erudition. That was the starting point of seeing all of the things, because, you know, as you go through teaching, you see all of the stuff that the children really need that are not available within mainstream settings, or, you know, and what my son went through. And it's like, do you know what? I'm working out this now. So developing. I've registered my business, and it's a CIC because I want it to be for the community. It's not about me getting rich, it's about supporting the community. So all of the different hold on.
I know I just interrupted you. I did it intentionally, 2 reasons. One, because you said something one time, and then the second thing was you said not to get rich. So I know that because you are a creative, that is I want to know, is that your creative mindset? And the reason why I touch on it is because I really think it's a disease that that creative people are blighted by. And I always have a disclaimer because I know many rich people in the creative industry. So
okay, I can explain.
Because
so I was actually I was talking about the actual company business. I could have registered it as a limited or but so only for that part. Because obviously there's many different things, creative things I do. So Your Erudition is just one aspect. So having that and being able to still get funds to support the communities and workshops for the community. So that was that
so
side.
This is your way as a citizen of giving back to your community within a structured framework that actually that is undergirded by your educational background experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it, and I think others will.
Still linking with the creativity side, because for me, creativity is therapy.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Right. You should know by now that I don't do well when people throw gems in and then want to move on so quickly. Creativity is therapy. Just wax lyrical for some short seconds, because we're already reaching the end. On that, I know creativity is therapy. What do you mean by that? Don't just be, blasé about it, because some people be like, what on earth are you on about? I think I get the gist, but just creativity is therapy. What does that mean? What does that look like in this new world of yours?
For me, it's and what I've seen with young people is that it's an outlet. It's a way to express. It's freeing. How I've incorporated some of the workshops that I've been working on is incorporating the whole design cycle, because you have an element of it that you make prototypes, and that linking with a young person thinking that they have to get things right the first time. So building up their confidence through that whole cycle. Okay, it's fine, you started that's prototype 1. Do it again. Add what do you like from that first one? Add that into your second one. And just allowing them to feel confident. So there's many different aspects of creativity, design and technology, what I studied, that I can see how it can benefit young people and with anxiety. So that is my whole aspect. And looking at myself, looking at my children, and seeing how anxiety is something that we all suffer with. So, I feel that we need to be aware of it more, that we can understand it to be able to have solutions and know how to navigate the world. So that is the whole point of Your Erudition that the parent aspect, children can go home and show their parents or their,
I love that. I love that, because even with your building block visual, how you started, you were talking about visual, visually you see this building block. Even the idea of creativity being therapy as the foundation, and then the way that you are using these building blocks and prototyping to almost, I don't want to say replicate life, but it is really how we also learn in life. In some way. One step. Then what have we learned from that? Do you know what I mean? Sometimes we need to be hoisted up. Sometimes we need to, do you know what I mean, knock the thing down again and go back to the foundation. But I love.
Yeah.
So where can people find, if they need to reach out to you, where can they find you? Or is this a project that they're going to need to wait a few more months? What's the, so we wrap this up. Where can they find you on this journey now?
Yeah, well, at the moment, I do have an Instagram. So Your Erudition is on Instagram. I registered the business this month, so it's a new baby. But anyone is welcome if they want to get involved, because this isn't a thing. I'm not like this. Oh, it's me. I can save the. No, it needs to be a community thing. So I'm gonna need premises. I'm gonna need support with people delivering sessions. We're gonna need. So I need a team. So I'm at the starting point with it.
I love it because we love babies. Yes, so baby. I wasn't even expecting that we would give birth to a new baby on Conversations with Michi, but we have. So I will get her details and I will put it in the bio. So folk, don't just come here to just be looking at us. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's an intentional community service. Intentional community service. And as creators, we are both creators. We are also educators. We are humans. You know, we are mothers. She did the actual pushing. Some of us were still children, you know, and just jumped, you know, circumnavigated the pushing part.
Yes.
You know, whatever. But you know, we are, you know, we are also surrogates, right? Because we require a community of elders and leaders and mentors. You know, we're really, you know, lacking in that. I hear people talk about mentorship and you have to pay, and I'm not saying that people should make it a business, but you know, I just think that whole thing of being able to learn from each other is kind of getting lost in the commerciality of it. So I love what you are doing. I wasn't even expecting that this would be our outro at all. I know. We were both like, okay, you know, because we've had like 4-hour conversations. We've had conversations in trees, in parks for a whole day. You know, whenever we talk, whether it's virtually or in person, we always have juicy, rich conversations. And I just love the way that this has evolved this you know, relatively short conversation. So I had said in the beginning, soundtrack. Of your life. So pick, you know, even if you don't know the name of the musician, you can't remember the album, or you can't remember, do you know what I mean? Or you can only hum like one bar, like just something. You know, there's really, as you know, there was no plan. And it's because of what you said earlier that I thought, but I think that would be like a nice way to
oh gosh, what's the name of it?
Do you know the
please don't put me on the spot. I'm sound deaf. Yes, we're not gonna do that. Hold on. Is it God Only Knows? That's what come to mind. Do you know that? Legend? Let me see. It's
check on your phone, child. That's why we're doing this version. Check on your phone. Check on your phone right now so that we know what we're talking about.
And my niece done
that's Heaven.
A revamp.
Heaven only knows. That's John Legend. That's God Only Knows. No, that's Heaven.
Let me see.
Yeah, it's not like I'm any better. Come on, play us out.
All right, come on.
Come on, quick, stop.
All right.
I'll just dance to the beat that I'm not quite sure of yet.
I'm sure it's God Only Knows. I'm sure.
No, search it, child. Search it. Don't make me pick up my phone too.
No, hold on.
God Only Knows.
Yeah.
He help us, because this child be now taking up time while we be looking.
I know. Tick, tick, tick. Hold on.
And I can't even make it up.
See, let me see if I've got it here.
Yeah. Song by the Beach Boys.
Okay. Play that one.
Wait, let me see. Okay, Beach Boys, nobody sue us. Let's see if she thinks it's this one. Oh gosh, I knew some stupid advert will come on. Sorry, people. Excuse my Spanish.
Let me see if I can find it.
Is it that? It can't be that.
No, do you know what? I'm feeling nervous.
Pick something else then. This ain't working.
I actually can't think of any.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I can't think of any. Oh, hold on. I should be able to find
All right.
this.
You can't fit the soundtrack. Okay, let's do it this way. What would be the location, geographical location? So, island in the sun, or Swiss Alps, or whatever that right now will sum up your life. Like the place you would, you know, that we need to just come and take a picture of you. Boop, boop, that would just sum up where you're at in life right now, you know.
Where I'm at in life right now.
Or where you're heading to, you know.
Where I'm at and where I'm heading to. Okay. So
location could be Mexico, could be Do you know what I mean? Be like, oh yeah, I'm on the Santorino.
It's kind of a Morocco country, like Jamaica.
African,
Yes, yeah, that's the twist.
African.
2 places in one. So that's Morocco and Jamaica, but not the town part, the country part of Jamaica.
Ooh, okay, I get it.
Where you've got the hills, you've got like where we're from, we've got like the red soil, and just sitting on the veranda.
Okay.
Not too far from the beach where you can get some, roast breadfruit and
Okay.
you know what I mean.
And you're gonna have all the Moroccan tiles and stuff in the background and the camels.
Yeah.
Countryside.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's close there then. We can work that out afterwards.
But yeah, I was trying to look for this song, but yeah.
We were doing so well with time, but you and your God only knows took us,
I know. If you hear that song, seriously,
okay. When you figure it out, we'll see if we need to, put it in here somewhere. For now,
actually, do you know what? I do have it. Hold on.
And then we might be back. Thank
So
you for visiting on series 2 of Conversations with Michi. She is literally still looking for
Thank you. I still wanted to find the song. Anyway,
we might have to do
I'm sure it's God only knows.
behind the scenes, and I'll let you all know how it worked out. For now, she's just gonna wave bye-bye to you while she tries to figure out God only knows.
Really wanted it.
Here we are playing, trying to figure out how to get a good space for the selfie spot. We found a great tree. This tree is just beautiful, and let's show the entire tree. Well, I'm not really showing the entire tree, so let me move away from it so I can show the entire tree. See, can you see Miss Loantha just playing in the tree? Because we are grown-up children. That's what we are. So now we're trying to find how to do a nice selfie. Yay!
You think you found it? No, do you think you found it?
I found it.
Okay. What's going on? We can't hear nothing.
You hear it?
No. What is it?
Nobody see, nobody believe. In the past, nobody understands. Jesus' name until I'm hurry. Nobody sees ya. Nobody will believe ya. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows what they say about you. God only knows how much care you. That's the kind of love that God only knows. God only knows what you've been through. God only knows.
Okay, hold up. So you said your niece did a version?
Yeah.
The version of that song.
Of this actual song, yeah.
And we can find her on Instagram.
On Instagram,
without
yes.
any copyright issues. So what's
Oh.
Okay, so we'll also put, so your niece's name is what? Yaya?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So we'll find a way to also incorporate that.
Yep. So it's LLAHYAH.
LLA.
You even see? Do you see it at the top?
Nah.
I can't even see it. Oh, because of the light, isn't it?
I know, because
Okay. But yeah, I'll send you.
we'll figure it out. LLAH. What was it?
So LLAHYAH.
YAH. Okay. So
Yeah.
we'll find her. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Fun.